Hey Stephen, how are you?
Great. Just a little stressed.
Why are you stressed, Stephen?
Did you see that dance, Chris? What? It was bad.
Well, our next presenter can help you out with that stress. Please welcome to the stage, Aria Swanson.
Guys, so as teenagers in a high school, we probably have our own experiences of stress, and they may vary from person to person. So I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about stress. First, according to Merriam-Webster, stress is a state of mental tension and worry caused by problems in your life, work, or other things. But how did stress start? Let's pretend for a second that you're a zebra. Are you going to be worried about your math test tomorrow? Or about paying your mortgage? Probably not. If you were, I'd be slightly concerned about what kind of zebra you were. But as people, we've evolved to turn on these fight or flight instincts that zebras get stressed when they're getting chased by a lion. For simple things that we encounter every day, like finishing our homework, taking a test, trying out for a sports team, or getting a job. And this is why stress has become so dangerous to our society. There are also a lot of other psychological factors that affect stress, such as a loss of control or predictability, and a lack of sleep. Sleep and stress are extremely closely tied. As discussed in his book, Robert Sapolsky proposes this stress and sleep cycle, where people have difficulty sleeping because they're stressed. But then in turn, they don't get enough sleep, which leads to even more stress. 56% of people in a great deal of stress, according to Harvard School of Public Health, have trouble sleeping. Now, as teenagers, the CDC recommends that we get 9 to 10 hours of sleep per day. But I can promise you, at least 95% of us don't get that much sleep on a normal basis, because that's kind of crazy. We don't have time for that. Stress is also a huge distraction to sleep. When you're stressed about something, sometimes you may not fall asleep, or if you do, it takes you a really long time to fall asleep, which leads us back again to the stress and sleep cycle. A lot of people, when they're stressed, may avoid friends and family because they're so focused on the stressor that they don't have time for friends and family. And this is a huge problem because social interaction decreases the problems that stress gives you. The social interaction helps to relieve your stress. But when you're so stressed that you turn away from friends and family, that increases your stress and can also increase the risk for a cardiovascular episode. There are also a lot of mental health consequences due to stress, such as anxiety, which is an overactivation of your stress responses, depression, insomnia, and drug and alcohol abuse. When people get stressed, sometimes they will turn to something that's an escape for them, maybe drinking or doing drugs. And over time, that can lead to addiction. And even if people are able to get out of those addictions, stress can greatly increase your risk for relapse back into that addiction. There are also many physical health consequences due to stress, such as when you injure yourself, your body takes longer to heal. When you're stressed, your immune system is inhibited, which means that it is a lot easier for you to get sick when you're stressed. For example, when concert season rolls around and I'm trying to get all my homework done, stay on top of my schedules, go to concerts, rehearsals, everything like that, sometimes I'll lose my voice, maybe for even weeks at a time. Your digestion slows when you're stressed, and your sex drive decreases. There are also many cardiovascular difficulties that are associated with stress. Everything from high blood pressure, hypertension, and a higher risk for heart attack and strokes. Type 2 diabetes can also be attributed to stress. Your body can no longer manage the energy that you're putting into yourself so that you can't make enough insulin to process everything that you eat. So you have to turn to other ways like injectable insulin or other diabetic management strategies to manage your body. Now in 1990, Americans worked an average of nearly 1 month more per year than they had in 1970. 1 month. What could you do with 1 month? There's so many things that you can do with an entire month. Now, right now, the average American worker gets approximately 8.1 days off per year plus holidays, where in countries such as France and Brazil get upwards of 30 days off plus holidays. That's a huge difference, and I think that's attributed to almost the American value of overwork, because we take pride in being stressed and in getting so much done, and this same value is reflected in our school systems. Enjoying high school is difficult when you're expected to be halfway done college by the time you graduate, according to Austin Chanel. In a study conducted by David Poot Wayne, out of the 10 top ranked worries of teens, 6 were related to schoolwork. And why is this? It's because our education system, specifically high schools, are pushing students to take more and more AP and honors level courses so that on college applications or job applications, it looks better. But see, the problem with this is, as we're getting pushed to take more and more of these classes, colleges are also forced to raise our admission standards, which is just a huge cycle that eventually ends up harming students more than it helps them. 85% of current college students are way over the 1930 standard for anxiety for patients with mental illness. That means 85% of our college population, if they were alive in the 1930s, underneath the same stress levels, would be put in mental asylums. That's a lot of people in mental asylums. I don't think that's very good. Now this is a chart of GPA over approximately the past 20 years by the U.S. Department of Education. It's risen for females almost close to half a point. And does this mean that we're getting that much smarter? Or does that just mean we're working harder? Students are willing to sacrifice more than ever before to keep their grades up, to have a higher GPA, because they're told that that'll help them more in the future. But 59% of teens find that managing their time to balance all of their activities is somewhat or very significant stressor. And I think this is the root of our problem. Whether you're applying for jobs, applying for college, or just trying to stay alive in high school, everyone's telling you to be a quote-unquote well-rounded student. But how are we supposed to be well-rounded students when we have 4 hours of homework a night, you play a sport, you participate in activities and clubs, and you are still expected to quote-unquote be a teenager, spend time with your family and friends? But how are we supposed to do this when we're put under all of these constraints of being a well-rounded student? And I think that's the problem that we have with stress. We need to be able to change the way that we view stress and the way that we view work. I'm not saying don't do your homework ever, because that could be slightly problematic for you. But over time, we need to be able to view stress differently than we do now. And that's for our generation to change, because we are the most stressed generation on record. Thank you.